Hey, vets and families, welcome to the Therapist Explains VA Mental Health Disability Ratings series. This is your guide to understanding how the VA decides claims for PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental health conditions. Listen, if you're a veteran and you're battling PTSD or depression, you know that the fight doesn't end when you hang up the uniform. So I'm approaching this series both as a veteran who's lived it, all of these, some of these concerns, and as a trauma-focused therapist who has counseled others through it, and I'm still counseling others through these mental health concerns. That means you'll get a unique perspective, a lived experience, and I'll back it with research and clinical insight so that you can navigate your claim with clarity and confidence. Listen, VA mental health ratings are based on 38 CFR 4.130, the general rating formula for mental disorders. It's how your symptoms are translated into percentages ranging from 0 to 100%. And so we'll break down each diagnosis using the DSM-5-TR. This is the same manual that therapists and the VA use to define mental health conditions. I got one right here. You'll see exactly how your symptoms align with VA criteria and how to strengthen your evidence. Every episode that I do is going to include a DSM-5-TR overview of the condition, a research highlight, a proven VA claim strategy, and then some practical steps to help you build a strong evidence-based claim. You can also download my free guide. It's the VA Mental Health Claim Self-Assessment and Decision Tree. This is linked in the description and it's pinned in a comment. This is going to help you organize your symptoms, match them to the VA rating scale, and then prepare for your C&P exam with confidence. If you or another veteran needs immediate help, please call the Veterans Crisis Line at 988 and then simply press 1. You are never alone, and you've got help in this fight for your mental health and for your well-being. I want to be along on the ride and along on the journey with you. So before we start, let me give you a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only. I don't give legal, clinical, or medical advice. Royal Rock Counseling and Consulting LLC is not affiliated with the VA, and we don't prosecute claims. We do help you understand the process and connect you to qualified professionals if necessary. If you find this content helpful, please like it, subscribe it, hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps this channel reach more veterans and families who need clear, trustworthy guidance and advice on mental health and VA claims and things that can help their families live well and live well. So thank you to everybody who's already subscribed and commented and shared. You're part of the community helping veterans take back their voice, their health, and their future. So without further ado, let's begin your journey toward a fully developed VA claim that's informed, confident, and empowered. These videos aren't going to be that long, but they will all help you live royally and live well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the series. Okay, vets and families, in this video, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's, the diagnostic codes, and where Alzheimer's fits into VA claims for compensation and disability. Now, Alzheimer's is rated under VASRD Neurocognitive Codes. It's in that neurocognitive section. It's in major or mild NCD. Common codes historically used are 9301, 9312, Alzheimer's or dementia of Alzheimer's type, or related neurocognitive codes. This is evaluated using the general rating formula for mental disorders, the 38 CFR 4.130, and just like all the other neurocognitive disorders, Alzheimer's is assigned by level of occupational and social impairment. Here are some additional notes. 9310 is part of the mental orders schedule under 4.130. And then this is the catch-all diagnostic code. So remember, we were talking about this before. The catch-all diagnostic code when a neurocognitive disorder is present but no etiology. For example, Alzheimer's and vascular TBI is clearly established. VA's mental health disorders other than PTSD and eating, DBQ captures many relevant symptoms under 9310. Even if a physical cause is suspected, if the etiology is uncertain, then the VA may rate under 9310 rather than a more specific neurocognitive DC. This is important even when you're considering Alzheimer's disease. So the VA does not always use a single Alzheimer's line item in the way medical charts do. Instead, Alzheimer's and related dementias are evaluated under VA Schedule 4 rating disabilities, the VASRD, as neurocognitive disorders. Historically, codes such as 9301 or 9312, dementia of Alzheimer's type, major or mild neurocognitive disorder due to Alzheimer's, have been used, and VA applies the general rating formula for mental disorders to measure functional impairment across work, social, and personal care. Cite the CFR and relevant diagnostic code when you file or advise a client. The that's speaking to the VSOs and attorneys and accredited agents of how they should look at this when they file. And the reason why unspecified should be mentioned here as well is because it is probably one of the most difficult things to try to find the etiology of Alzheimer's disease, because it's, as we all know, it's something that generally speaking doesn't is not onset until much later in life. And so if you can catch, but there are rare instances where you can catch Alzheimer's much earlier. And so this is what this is talking about. There's not really a line item specifically the way medical charts outline it. But if you are able to catch it, it will be applied under Diagnostic Codes 9301 or 9312 with the dementia related Alzheimer's. So let's move on to diagnostic criteria and clinical features, um, such as Alzheimer's and as NCD. So some key diagnostic features are progressive memory loss, impaired reasoning, language problems, behavior change, and decline in activities of daily living. These are things that we know from Alzheimer's disease, but oftentimes I don't think that we think about it in terms of, if a veteran has Alzheimer's disease, is it possible or probable or as likely as not likely for that to be tied to the veteran's in service injury, illness, event, or during a time that something that they suffered on active duty? So the staging is mild early, independence with the difficulties, major moderate to severe is impaired ADLs, disorientation, and behavior disturbances. Okay. The VA focuses on functional impact as always, work, social, and self care, not just the diagnosis level. So, medically, Alzheimer's presents with memory impairment, executive dysfunction, language decline, and eventually a loss of ability to perform activities of daily living. We know that this is the case with regard to Alzheimer and related dementia symptoms. For the VA, the critical issue is the extent to which those symptoms limit occupational and social functioning. That's what determines the percentage rating under the general rating formula. And put it differently, the objective tests and imaging do help, but the VA decision hinges on functional evidence when it comes to Alzheimer's. This is something that can be easily observable, particularly from buddies, friends, families, spouses, coworkers, of the deterioration and the functional impact of Alzheimer's, probably more than any other diagnostic code or any other mental health disorder. Alzheimer's can probably be more clearly seen than any of those. So, ADL loss, need for supervision, or behavioral symptoms can also show the need for or the functional impact of Alzheimer's and dementia related diseases. Here's some scholarship on Alzheimer's risk among veterans and why the evidence matters. And this research is from Logan 2022. Veterans show higher risk for Alzheimer's, ADRD linked to TBI, PTSD, and certain service exposures. Remember, TBI has a lot of stems, and we're going to do a deep dive on TBI because it's got a lot of stems of secondary service connections, a lot of stems into other mental health disorders. So it's important to keep a real close eye on TBI. I don't know if you know this or not, but there is something called TSGLI. TSGLI is Traumatic Servicemen's Group Life Insurance, and it's specifically for those who have suffered some sort of traumatic event. And TBI has its own designation under TSGLI that service members who have been affected by this, for particularly neurological conditions, can apply for extra insurance under TSGLI. But that's not what this video is about. Just wanted to throw that in there as an added sort of bonus. So check it out, look into it, and see if it might be something for you and your family to take advantage of. So large studies and reviews identify TBI and PTSD as risk multipliers for later dementia and implications for claims, service-connected TBI or PTSD history. They can strengthen a nexus to dementia and Alzheimer's. So any brain-related trauma that you experience can be used as evidence to link to later Alzheimer's development in the veteran. It's important to understand. Peer-reviewed work shows veterans with histories of moderate, severe TBI or chronic PTSD are at elevated risk for Alzheimer's and related dementias. That research matters for VA claims because it supports plausible causal pathway, or aggravation. Remember, you could have had early stages of Alzheimer's or dementia while you were in, and then it got aggravated upon exit of the military, or while you were in, and then upon exit, it just got worse, especially when combined with documented in-service head injury, blast exposure, or ongoing PTSD. Use a high-quality scholarly article in your file if you want to use that. If you can watch these videos and get whatever scholarly article you want, and you can reference it. I have the DOI numbers and the peer-reviewed journal article references in the video. And you want to show the biological plausibility and epidemiology linking service exposures to later neurocognitive decline. Recommended citations include large cohort reviews and VA-led studies. One day, when you guys are ready for it or when you have the capacity for it, I'll link where all of the VA studies are. I don't like to do that all the time because I don't want veterans just using a bunch of studies that they don't understand or that aren't applicable to the claims, right? You should get a good claim strategy and make sure that you're with your VSO attorney or VA claims expert and build that strategy using the studies that are applicable to you, not just a bunch of studies. VA doesn't care about that. The RVSR will not care about you throwing 500 studies at them. They don't care. Does that study combine with you having experienced it and it being in your documented in your service record? That's the only thing that's going to matter. So we'll talk more about that a lot. But this is just some of the scholarship that centers around Alzheimer's and dementia related diseases. Now, the burden of proof for claim strategy is going to almost exclusively depend upon the neuroimaging and testing. So here's what you want to do. Obtain comprehensive neuropsychological testing plus neurology evaluation. This is diagnosis, staging, and cognitive testing scores. Secure medical imaging, labs, MRIs, CTs, workup ruling out reversible causes. Document prior TBI, PTSD, if you think that that might be the case or have led to these kinds of injuries or other in-service exposures with service treatment records and personnel records. Any command records will do, any even city or state records, local records might do the trick there, identifying and documenting that there were actually blasts or loud noises or TBI related, PTSD related events that could have led also to the cognitive impairment that typically shows up for Alzheimer's and dementia. So start by building a strong medical record, up-to-date neuropsych testing, which is MOCA MMSE, detailed neuropsych battery. Listen, this whole neuropsychological battery includes not only testing, but cognitive functioning, motor functioning, all of those things. And it's going to take a while. So you'll know if you're being tested for that. Okay. And generally speaking, if you are diagnosed with one of these things, then it is probably something that has already been progressive over time. Neurology notes with differential diagnoses and imaging lab results that rule out treatable causes. Rule out treatable causes. Parallel to that, assemble service records and service treatment records showing head injury, blast exposure, or PTSD. If a veteran's Alzheimer's is plausibly connected to TBI PTSD, that link or nexus can be argued as aggravation or service connection. You can argue it. It does not always necessarily mean that your claim will be approved or that you will receive compensation. But if you can prove that you had some sort of traumatic event or injury or illness or some sort of traumatic thing happened to you, you can definitely argue it on that premise or on that basis. Will it have probative value once it gets to the RVSR's desk? That remains to be seen. But give yourself the chance to tie as much evidence together as you possibly can. Don't forget private doctors and family statements documenting progressive decline and activities of daily living loss. Those are powerful functional indicators for the general rating formula. Really important to try to show as much connection as possible. And as we move on to part two, which is the legal framing, CMP, and functional proof, request a DBQ CP exam that specifically addresses diagnosis, functional limitations, and nexus to service. Use lay statements and caregiver reports. This is important. Caregiver reports are going to be really important, particularly if you have lost functionality of any limbs or any capacity. It's going to be hugely important to document ADL decline, supervision needs, wandering, or hallucinations, which would be more in the psychotic realm as well. But Alzheimer's has shown to have brief psychotic symptoms and brief psychotic episodes as well. Consider secondary claims like depression or behavioral disturbance and request staged ratings. Temporary duty, temporary duty and individual unemployment is also temporary disability individual unemployment if loss of earnings capacity exists. Cite VA adjudication rules, reasonable doubt, M21-1 Nexus guidance, and attach supportive scholarly studies. Interesting how they're saying attach supportive scholarly studies. We have mentioned that quite a bit here on this channel. And if you'd like to use some of these studies or some of this strategy, you most certainly can do so. For favorable decision, you must convert clinical findings into VA-specific legal arguments. Ask the CMP, comp and pen examiner to opine on service connection, whether it's more likely than not related, caused, or aggravated by service-related TBI or PTSD. Laying caregiver statements fill critical gaps by illustrating real-world ADL decline, safety concerns, and need for supervision, which map directly to higher percentage ratings. Where work is impacted, explore staged ratings or TDIU, total disability based on unemployability. Also reference VA policy M21-1 guidance and research linking exposures to dementia to strengthen nexus arguments. Family, there are so many ways to gather evidence. You just need to pick the way that's right for you and that is applicable to the disability that you are claiming. And I think you'll be on the right track. Okay, vets and families, that'll do it for this video for Alzheimer's and dementia related causes. I thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of you who are watching and liking the videos and subscribing. Thank you so much. It means a whole lot to this channel, and it means a whole lot to our mission to get the word out to veterans that they can do their claims on their own, and that they can press forward to get the benefits that they need and the benefits that they deserve. And most importantly, beyond that, the care that they deserve. So make sure you watch my full mental health VA ratings playlist. I am breaking down every mental health disorder that's listed in 38 CFR 4.130, the general rating formula, and the mental health disorders that the VA and the regulation that the VA uses to diagnose and to determine whether or not you will receive a VA rating. So watch that whole playlist. I'm going to do all of them with the exception of PTSD, which deserves its own. TBI I'll do separately as well because that also deserves its own series. So I'll do those individually, but be sure to check out all the other ones that I've done. There's plenty more that are compensable, that are rateable, and I think that you'll benefit greatly from them. Be sure to download your free VA mental health claim decision tree. I'll have it in the video description, and I'll have it linked in the first pinned comment. And connect with Roy Rock Counseling Consulting for trauma-informed veteran support. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay with me. I promise we'll do you well, or as the old folks used to say, will do you real good. All right, take care, you guys. And I wish you health, wealth, happiness, and all the things. And I want you to live royally and live well. Take care, and we hope to see you on the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you want any more information about the subject of this series, be sure to check out the playlist right here. And remember, live royally and live well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.